today's video, we're gonna be talking about banded shades. Banded shades are technically a roller product, but they're one of only a few styles that allows you to do variable shading or variable light control, where instead of the product being open or closed, you're actually able to see through the product when it's down and get different levels of light and privacy depending on how much you're overlapping the bands. Now, banded shades are called a variety of different things in the marketplace. They're called dual concept shades, they're called zebra blinds, but really the most apt description is banded shades because, well, as you can see, they have those bands. Now, how banded shades work is they actually have a roller at the top and a roller at the bottom, and it's a continuous piece of fabric that's overlapping each other as it goes up the roll. You can get banded shades in a variety of different textures, different band sizes, and different opacities. And what's changing the opacity between one or the other is actually the gauge or the thickness of the band itself. Bands can come in anywhere from 2-inch up to even 5-inch in terms of the height. And there's lots of different textures of the shear in between the bands. Again, how that product's working is it's actually overlapping itself as it goes up and down. What's really cool with this product when we compare it to some of the other sheer shades or other products that you can do variable shading with is that we can stop the shade in the window at any point and overlap the bands. With some of the other sheer shades, which we talk about in a different video, you can't do that. Once they leave the sill, you can no longer tilt and get that variable shading. Another reason this product is so popular is the price point. Of the 15, 16 brands that we carry, almost everybody makes a banded shade. So there's lots of different textures, lots of different control systems, and lots of price points to choose from. In terms of some of the other ways that you can customize a banded shade, the aesthetic or the look, it's not just the height of the band, the color or texture of the band, the texture or the color of the shear, it's also the bottom bar and the top treatment. So whether it's a square or a round bottom bar, or a square or a round cassette, and whether it's fabric wrapped or unwrapped, all depends on the brand and the control system that we're using. So when it comes to the actual material types of a banded shade, there's really only light filtering and room darkening. I would never use the word blackout because when you have this product in the closed position, even in a room darkening material, you're always gonna have gaps between the front and the back of the two pieces of fabric, meaning that light's gonna come up not just from the sides of the shade like it would with any other roller product, but it's actually gonna flood through the middle of the shade like you can see here. Now, the other thing to consider when you're thinking about the opacity of these is the actual opacity of the shear. Some shears are more see-through than others, and what's gonna determine that is the color and the texture. So when you're looking at picking the right fabric and the right fit for your project, you want to make sure that you're not just looking at the color and texture of the band, but the color and texture of the shear in between as well. Some of the additional benefits of banded shades is the fact that you can see through the shade during the daytime and still have relatively good privacy. The other thing that's really nice is with the flick of a button or your wrist, by moving the shade up or down, you can also create a little bit of additional privacy in the evening. So it's one of those products that you can see through during the day, but people can't necessarily see back inside the home. The nice thing with banded shades is that they're actually relatively low maintenance because they're flat. So some of the other sheer shades or products where you're able to do variable light control will have a shear on the front and the back, or some kind of material that's pleating with two different systems. With this, because it's flat and it comes with anti-static coating, it's relatively low maintenance, easy to clean, and easy to take care of. So in addition to being relatively low maintenance, the other thing that's really nice with banded shades is they're actually more durable compared to other sheer shading or variable shading products because of the materials that they're made of. So when it comes to banded shades, while this is a very versatile product at a great price point that offers variable shading and great light control, there are a few other things that we need to consider. One, like I mentioned, when it comes to a room darkening or blackout shade, that's not something that you're gonna get with this product because you have the light gaps on the side and light coming up through the middle. The other thing that would be something to consider when we're thinking about banded shades is that the actual roll width of the material does not come that wide. So if we wanna span a window that's say 96, 108, or 120 inches in one piece of material, it's very rare that we'll find banded shades that can go that wide. And when we do work with wider banded shades, because of the size of those larger shades, we can see waves in the fabric. Another thing to consider is when we have multiple banded shades in one window or in one room, is getting all of those bands to line up and give you that clean, consistent, modern look that we would be expecting with something like this product. One final consideration when you're thinking about getting banded shades is when you're working with your Sonata representative or you're looking at these samples, you want to make sure to look at them layered, because the book may be sampled with just one piece of that front band and shear, but in reality, it's going to be stacked with two because you're going to have layers for the bands to overlap. So a white might not look as white, or a darker shade might be even darker once it's actually installed in the window. Now, when it comes to controlling banded shades, there are a lot of different options. We have another video that's all about control systems that are ubiquitous across all various products. Let's focus on the ones for banded shades. Again, it's really going to depend on the brand that you're working with, the size of the shade, the height, the width, the fabric, but essentially there's 4 major ways to control banded shades. You can do them motorized, or with the touch of a button, or a timer, or an app control, the shade can run to your favorite position, open or close. The other system would be a wand system like this, where you press up or down on the wand and the shade will start running. Okay? The next system would be cordless, where you're just pushing the shade up and down. And the last system would be a chain system, where it has a shroud or a safety cover on the chain because of the new Health Canada regulations that are now rolling into the United States as well. So that pretty much sums up banded shades. Again, they are one of the most versatile products out there in terms of controlling light coming into a space. We can do variable light control by overlapping the bands. We can get that really soft indoor-outdoor look at a great price point, and they're relatively more durable and less maintenance compared to other sheer shades. However, they're not the best for blackout, as you're gonna have light gaps on the side and through the middle of the shade, and we can't do as large of windows. Check out some of these inspo pics.